Leave It to Beaver is often remembered as the perfect picture of 1950 suburban life. From the neat houses to the smiling faces of the Cleaver family, the show seemed flawless. On the surface, it was wholesome entertainment, filled with lessons at the end of each episode, and a sense of nostalgia that has lasted for generations. America loved it, and the ratings reflected that. Even after the show ended, reruns kept it alive in the hearts of viewers, and the 1997 movie adaptation introduced the story to new fans. However, behind this picture-perfect image, there were secrets and challenges that the producers and cast members faced, details that most audiences never knew. The polished on-screen world hid real-life struggles, difficult choices, and pressures that tested both the cast and crew. From auditions that changed everything to personal tragedies and unexpected career turns, the story of Leave It to Beaver is far more complex than the smiling faces on television suggested. The show reflected not only the innocence of childhood, but also the hidden realities of Hollywood and life itself. The boy who captured America's heart, Theodore Beaver Cleaver, played by Jared Mathers, was the central figure of the series. Mathers' audition was far from ordinary. Unlike many young actors who tried to impress the directors with energy and enthusiasm, Mathers showed up at his audition in his Cub Scout uniform because he had a meeting to attend afterward. When asked if he was excited for the part, he admitted he would rather be at the Cub Scout meeting. This honesty could have hurt his chances, but the producers Joe Connolly and Bob Mosher saw something unique in him, a spark of truthfulness that made him perfect for the role. They wanted a boy who could be natural on screen, someone relatable rather than rehearsed. This casting choice defined the show and gave audiences a character they would come to love. Mathers' charm and innocence became a symbol of childhood in post-war America, and he portrayed Beaver as curious, sometimes mischievous, but always lovable. Through his adventures at school, home, and in the neighborhood, the show illustrated the life of a young boy growing up in a middle-class family, showing the challenges, mistakes, and joys that made childhood universal. Beaver's experiences, from developing crushes on teachers like Miss Canfield and Miss Landers to learning lessons from his parents, reflected the real-life curiosities and struggles of children at the time. Yet, while the viewers saw a cheerful, innocent child, the production behind him was more complicated. Mathers' co-star, Tony Dow, who played Wally Cleaver, had a very different path to stardom. Dow had no acting experience prior to the show. He was a trained athlete and lifeguard who was discovered almost by accident. Someone noticed his confidence and good looks at a pool, and he was invited to audition. Dow's discipline as a diver and athlete helped him transition smoothly into acting, and his chemistry with Mathers created one of the most believable brotherly relationships on television. However, the producers knew that fame could be dangerous for young actors, so they implemented measures to keep the boys grounded. One unusual rule was that Mathers and Dow were not allowed to watch the show. The producers believed that seeing themselves on screen might inflate their egos, and this approach kept them humble and focused on learning their craft. The presence of supportive parents was also crucial. Unlike some children of the era whose parents were controlling or overbearing, the mothers of Mathers and Dow attended every day, ensuring the boys were treated fairly and could separate real life from the world of television. While the young actors navigated their early fame, Barbara Billingsley, who played June Cleaver, faced her own private challenges. On screen, June was a perfect 1950s mother, wearing neat dresses, pearls, and high heels. Behind the camera, her elegant appearance concealed a personal struggle. She had undergone surgery, leaving a hollow spot on her neck that she covered with pearls or scarves. Additionally, as Mathers and Dow grew taller with each season, producers asked her to wear progressively higher heels to maintain the illusion of maternal authority and height. Despite the discomfort, Billingsley's professionalism ensured that viewers never noticed these behind-the-scenes adjustments. Her calm, nurturing persona on screen reflected not only her acting skill, but also her real-life experiences. She was a widow raising 2 children while working in Hollywood, balancing career and motherhood with grace. Her life off-screen gave authenticity to June Cleaver, making her frustration with the boys' antics feel genuine rather than scripted. Billingsley even influenced the show's writers, encouraging them to portray Beaver's mistakes realistically, so her character could respond naturally, demonstrating the subtle ways real life shaped television. Hugh Beaumont, who played Ward Cleaver, brought his own personal history to the role. Before acting, he was an ordained minister, teaching moral values from the pulpit. His fatherly calm and wisdom translated perfectly to television. However, Beaumont's personal life was marked by challenges. He had to travel from Minnesota to Los Angeles for filming, and during one of these trips, a tragic car accident claimed his mother-in-law's life. The tragedy weighed heavily on him, yet he maintained his professionalism. Beaumont was also typecast as Ward Cleaver, limiting his acting opportunities elsewhere, but he found creative outlets by writing and directing episodes of the show, ensuring his experiences influenced the storylines. Many episodes drew inspiration from real life. Producer Joe Connolly kept notebooks filled with stories from his childhood and his children's experiences. These small details, family mishaps, school troubles, and neighborhood adventures, formed the backbone of Leave It to Beaver, giving a sense of realism that audiences connected with. Characters evolved in response to the actors' personalities. Eddie Haskell, played by Ken Osmond, was originally intended for a single episode, but became a regular due to Osmond's natural charm. Lumpy, played by Frank Bank, embodied the bully archetype, but Bank's real life was entirely different. Bank later became a stockbroker and shared his Hollywood experiences in an autobiography, revealing the contrast between on-screen personas and real-world identities. Even small events on set were shaped by careful management. Rusty Stevens, who played Beaver's friend Larry, had to leave the show because his mother caused disruptions with producers, demonstrating how parental influence could affect young actors' careers. In contrast, the supportive mothers of Mathers and Dow allowed their sons to grow comfortably into their roles. The show also broke ground in subtle ways. Scenes like the appearance of a toilet tank were controversial at the time, but were defended by producers to create realistic storytelling. Additionally, the exact location of Mayfield was never revealed, allowing audiences to imagine the town as any American suburb, creating a sense of familiarity and universality. Behind the scenes, casting choices nearly changed the course of television history. Hugh Beaumont replaced another actor in the pilot, and the original title, Wally and the Beaver, was changed due to sponsor concerns, leading to the iconic name we know today. Life after the show varied for the cast. Jerry Mathers pursued a normal life, attending college and joining a band before returning to entertainment. He also faced false rumors about being killed in Vietnam, which caused heartbreak for his family. Later, he became a spokesperson for Jenny Craig after losing weight and inspiring many through his personal transformation. Tony Dow left acting to become a sculptor, channeling his creativity into art, while Ken Osmond, once typecast as Eddie, became a police officer, even surviving being shot in the line of duty. Frank Bank left Hollywood for finance and later shared his wild stories through his autobiography. Barbara Billingsley returned to acting decades later, surprising audiences with her role in Airplane, proving she was more than just June Cleaver. Each cast member lived a life filled with growth, challenges, and achievements, showing that the magic of Leave It to Beaver came not just from scripts and sets, but from real people turning their experiences into timeless television. The combination of innocence, humor, real-life struggles, and moral lessons made the show unforgettable, while behind-the-scenes secrets, careful casting, and subtle production choices shaped the enduring legacy of one of America's most beloved family series. From auditions to personal challenges, typecasting to career reinventions, the story of Leave It to Beaver reminds us that what we see on screen is only part of the picture. The dedication of the actors, the vision of the producers, and the reality behind the laughter create a show that remains relevant decades later, offering lessons, nostalgia, and inspiration for generations of viewers. While the Cleaver family appeared on screen as a perfect suburban household, the reality behind the cameras was far more complicated. Producing a show like Leave It to Beaver required constant attention to detail, not just in scripts and acting, but also in the personal lives of cast. Child actors, particularly Jerry Mathers and Tony Dow, had to navigate the pressures of early fame while still attending school, participating in extracurricular activities, and maintaining a semblance of a normal childhood. Producers went to great lengths to ensure the boys remained grounded, even instituting rules like forbidding them from watching episodes of the show. They believed that seeing themselves in character might lead to inflated egos or distractions, and it worked effectively to keep the young stars focused. The presence of their mothers on set was equally vital. Unlike Rusty Stevens' mother, whose interference ultimately led to her son being written off the show, Mathers and Dow's mothers acted as stabilizing forces, ensuring their sons were safe, comfortable, and emotionally supported during long hours of filming. This support system helped the boys maintain a sense of normalcy and provided a buffer from the intense scrutiny that came with acting on national television. Barbara Billingsley, who played June Cleaver, had to balance these young actors' guidance with her own complex responsibilities off-screen. As a widow raising 2 children alone, she understood the importance of nurturing and patience, traits she infused into her character to make June Cleaver more believable and relatable. Her personal experiences often influenced the scripts, as she would advise writers on how a mother might realistically react to childhood mischief or emotional turmoil. Additionally, her wardrobe, including pearls and high heels, was not just a matter of style, but carefully considered aspect of maintaining the visual illusion of the perfect mother. The heels were required to preserve the height difference between her and the growing boys, while her pearls cleverly concealed a surgical scar. These small details demonstrate the meticulous thought that went into every element of production, blending reality with illusion to create a seamless on-screen world. Hugh Beaumont, portraying Ward Cleaver, also contributed authenticity to the show through his real-life background as a minister. His experience teaching moral lessons and guiding young people made him naturally suited to deliver the kind of calm, principled advice that became his hallmark on television. However, even with this calm exterior, Beaumont faced personal tragedy. While commuting for filming, a car accident claimed the life of his mother-in-law, creating a shadow over his work and a reminder that life behind the scenes could be far harsher than anything portrayed on screen. Despite this, he remained dedicated to his craft, bringing sincerity and depth to the character of Ward Cleaver. His experiences also informed episodes he wrote and directed, including emotionally resonant stories like Family Scrapbook, which captured the nostalgia and reflective tone that viewers loved. The writing team, led by Joe Connolly, meticulously drew from real life, collecting stories from childhood experiences, family anecdotes, and everyday occurrences to craft episodes that felt genuine. This approach allowed the show to connect deeply with audiences who could see themselves reflected in Beaver's adventures, Wally's achievements, or Eddie Haskell's scheming. In fact, the show's focus on viewing the world through children's eyes was revolutionary at the time. Most family-oriented television focused on adult perspectives, highlighting parental authority and lessons. Leave It to Beaver shifted the focus, making children the center of the narrative and showing their mistakes, curiosities, and emotional growth. This unique perspective made the show resonate with both children, who saw themselves reflected on screen, and adults who could better understand the challenges of raising children. Even minor details, like Eddie Haskell's extended role or Rusty Stevens' departure, demonstrate the complexities of maintaining a cast of child actors while balancing talent, discipline, and parental involvement. Additionally, the creative choices extended to seemingly small aspects, such as a controversial scene featuring a toilet tank. At the time, television censors considered any depiction of a bathroom as indecent, yet the producers insisted on realism and aired the episode, subtly pushing the boundaries of family television. The show's blending of authenticity and imagination extended to the fictional town of Mayfield, whose unspecified location allowed viewers across America to feel a personal connection. Real footage from towns in Illinois and elsewhere was interwoven with studio sets to create a familiar yet idealized suburban landscape, reinforcing the sense that Beaver and his family could be anyone's neighbors. These layers of thought, attention, and care behind the scenes reveal that the charm of Leave It to Beaver was not just a result of writing or acting, but the culmination of countless decisions, both big and small, that made the show timeless. From managing the delicate balance of child actors' development to navigating personal tragedies and pushing social boundaries subtly, the production of the series was an intricate dance of human emotion, creativity, and careful orchestration. Behind the perfect Cleaver household was a real world of dedication, struggle, and humanity, and it was this blend that allowed the show to resonate with generations and remain an enduring symbol of wholesome family television. After Leave It to Beaver ended, the lives of its young stars and adult actors took turns that were as surprising and dramatic as any television plot. Jerry Mathers, who had embodied the innocence and charm of Theodore Beaver Cleaver, made a conscious decision to step away from Hollywood. Unlike many child stars who struggled on their way to fame, Mathers wanted a normal life. He returned to school, joined a band called Beaver and the Trappers, and later attended the University of California, Berkeley, where he studied philosophy. For more than a decade, he avoided the entertainment industry entirely, choosing instead a career as a commercial loan officer. During this time, strange and sometimes frightening rumors circulated about him. One of the wildest was that he had been killed in Vietnam, a false report that even led to condolence calls to his family from well-meaning fans. In reality, Mathers had served in the Air Force Reserve and never left the United States. The confusion stemmed from another soldier with a similar name, but it caused significant emotional strain for both Mathers and his mother, who had to field calls from grieving strangers. Despite these challenges, Mathers eventually returned to entertainment in 1978, showing that he still had a connection to the world that had made him famous as a child. His resilience and ability to reinvent himself later extended into personal challenges. In the 1990s, he was diagnosed with diabetes and experienced significant weight gain. Determined to regain his health, Mathers joined the Jenny Craig program and lost over 40 pounds, ultimately becoming the company's first male spokesperson. This transformation allowed him to inspire others in ways that went far beyond acting, proving that life after early fame could still be meaningful and impactful. Tony Dow, who played Wally Cleaver, also followed a path of reinvention. Initially discovered almost by chance due to his athleticism and natural charm, Dow's early career was shaped by discipline learned as a diving champion and lifeguard. After leaving acting, he reinvented himself as a talented sculptor, demonstrating creativity in a completely different medium. His transition reflects the versatility and adaptability that many child actors needed to navigate life beyond the spotlight. Barbara Billingsley, whose portrayal of June Cleaver defined maternal elegance for an entire generation, faced the challenge of being typecast. After the show ended, casting directors struggled to see her as anyone other than the perfect, poised mother, which led to a hiatus from acting. During this time, she traveled the world and raised her children, demonstrating that her real-life resilience mirrored the strength of her character. When she returned to acting in the late 1970s, Billingsley surprised audiences with a role in the 1980 comedy Airplane, where she played a passenger who spoke jive. This unexpected and humorous performance highlighted her versatility and proved she could break free from the shadow of June Cleaver. Hugh Beaumont, who had portrayed the moral and calm father Ward Cleaver, also faced challenges after the show ended. Despite his on-screen success, he struggled with typecasting and personal tragedy, particularly the loss of family members in a car accident during his time filming the show. However, Beaumont channeled his experiences into creative pursuits, writing and directing episodes that reflected his deep understanding of human nature and moral values. Meanwhile, Ken Osmond, who played the memorable Eddie Haskell, experienced one of the most dramatic life transformations. After being pigeonholed as the sneaky, charming troublemaker on screen, Osmond left acting entirely to join the Los Angeles Police Department. He became a decorated officer, working in dangerous divisions such as motorcycles and narcotics, and survived being shot in the line of duty thanks to a bulletproof vest. Osmond's life as a real-life hero, rather than a Hollywood star, exemplifies the remarkable and unexpected paths cast members could take after leaving the show. Frank Bank, who portrayed the goofy yet endearing Lumpy Rutherford, also found success outside of acting, becoming a stockbroker and author. His autobiography revealed surprising personal stories, including adventures and romances that contrasted sharply with his on-screen persona. Yet, through all these transformations, the cast members shared a common thread. The lessons and experiences gained from Leave It to Beaver continued to shape their lives. They learned discipline, resilience, and creativity, which allowed them to pursue new endeavors while retaining the values of family, humility, and perseverance that the show itself promoted. Even when stepping away from the cameras, their lives remain a testament to the influence of their early roles, demonstrating that the impact of Leave It to Beaver extended far beyond its 6-season run. Each actor's post-show journey, whether in creative arts, public service, or personal growth, reflects a combination of talent, opportunity, and the unique challenges of childhood fame, creating a narrative as compelling as any of the show's classic episodes. Despite the warm, wholesome image portrayed on screen, producing Leave It to Beaver was not without its significant challenges and occasional controversies. The show's producers, Joe Connolly and Bob Mosher, carefully balanced the needs of young actors, creative storytelling, and network standards, often walking a fine line between realism and a family-friendly image that viewers expected. One of the most notable challenges was maintaining the illusion of the perfect suburban family, while managing the very real pressures of child stardom. Scheduling was a constant struggle, as the young actors still needed time for schoolwork, social development, and extracurricular activities. Scenes often had to be adjusted to accommodate the boys' school schedules, and lengthy rehearsals sometimes took a toll on their energy and focus. The producers also had to be mindful of the psychological impact of early fame. Jerry Mathers and Tony Dow were growing up in the national spotlight, and even the smallest mistake could make headlines. To prevent egos from inflating or the children from becoming overly self-conscious, the producers implemented strict rules, including the controversial guideline that the boys could not watch themselves on television. This unusual step helped the actors focus on their craft rather than their image, a decision that proved effective in maintaining the natural, unforced performances that became a hallmark of the show. Beyond the children, adult cast members faced their own unique pressures. Barbara Billingsley had to navigate the demands portraying a flawless mother while dealing with personal hardships as a single parent. She often influenced scripts to ensure her characters' reactions were realistic, bridging the gap between Hollywood fiction and real-life parenting. Hugh Beaumont, despite his calm and composed on-screen presence, carried the burden of personal tragedy, including the devastating loss of family members during production of the series. The show also had to navigate the rigid standards of 1950s and 1960s television censorship. A seemingly minor incident, such as showing a toilet tank in one episode, created near panic among network executives, who initially considered the scene inappropriate for family audiences. Connolly and Mosher, however, insisted on the realism of the scene, ultimately airing it and subtly expanding the boundaries of what was acceptable on television. This decision, though small, marked a step toward more authentic storytelling and highlighted the producer's commitment to presenting everyday life without unnecessary embellishment. Casting also brought challenges. Original pilots featured different actors, and early recasting, such as replacing the initial Ward Cleaver with Hugh Beaumont, could have altered the dynamic of the entire show. The producer's choices, from recasting to storylines, ultimately defined the success and enduring appeal of the series. Even minor characters like Eddie Haskell and Lumpy Rutherford had unexpected impacts on both the story and the actors' lives, with some initially intended for brief appearances becoming central figures due to audience reaction and the actors' natural charm. Meanwhile, the show's setting presented another set of challenges. The fictional town of Mayfield was intentionally left without a specified state to create a universal suburban image, but this required careful blending of real-life footage with studio sets to maintain consistency. Producers used real towns in Illinois and California for certain exterior shots, ensuring that the streets, parks, and homes appear familiar and authentic, giving viewers a sense of connection to the Cleaver's world. The blending of these elements required meticulous planning, attention to detail, and creative problem-solving from a production team. In addition to these logistical challenges, the cultural impact of the show was far-reaching. By telling the story through the eyes of children rather than adults, Leave It to Beaver pioneered a narrative perspective that was unusual for its time. It offered parents insight into children's thoughts and feelings, while children could identify with Beaver's curiosity, mistakes, and adventures. This unique approach strengthened family viewing and set a precedent for subsequent shows that explored childhood from a child's perspective. Beyond its narrative achievements, the series subtly addressed social expectations of the era, including family roles, morality, and the balancing of individual growth within a community. It was a show that reflected the idealized image of suburban America, while simultaneously grounding its stories in relatable human experiences. In doing so, it navigated the delicate intersection of entertainment, morality, and realism, making Leave It to Beaver both a cultural landmark and a template for future family television. The combination of careful casting, detailed production, and social resonance explains why the show remains beloved decades later. The world of Beaver, Wally, and the Cleaver family was more than television. It was a lens through which millions of viewers explored childhood, morality, and family life, all while the cast and crew face their own complex realities behind the scenes. This intricate interplay of on-screen perfection and off-screen challenges is part of what makes Leave It to Beaver an enduring and fascinating case study in television history. Even though Leave It to Beaver projected an image of perfect suburban life, some episodes caused unexpected controversy, pushing the boundaries of what network television considered acceptable at the time. One memorable example involved a storyline in which Beaver faced consequences for a minor lie that escalated into a bigger problem. While today this might seem trivial, during the 1950s, network executives were concerned that the depiction of moral mistakes, even minor ones, might negatively influence children. The producers, however, were determined to maintain authenticity in their storytelling. They believed that children could learn more from realistic scenarios than from overly sanitized or idealized lessons. This commitment to honesty became a recurring theme, not only in the scripts but also in behavior of the young actors themselves. Casting anecdotes further illustrate how much luck and timing played a role in shaping the show. Jerry Mather's audition for Beaver was unusual in that he arrived wearing his Cub Scout uniform, mentioning that he would rather be at his meeting than auditioning. While many child actors might have overperformed or exaggerated enthusiasm, Mather's candidness impressed producers Joe Connolly and Bob Mosher. They saw in him the natural, unpolished behavior that would define Beaver's charm. Similarly, Tony Dow, who played Wally, was discovered almost by accident at a pool, where his athleticism and confidence drew attention. Dow had no prior acting experience, yet he quickly became a beloved on-screen brother due to his natural chemistry with Mathers. Even minor characters like Ken Osmond's Eddie Haskell and Frank Banks' Lumpy Rutherford became integral to the show in ways that were not initially planned. Eddie Haskell, intended for a single episode, was retained for all 6 seasons because of Osmond's effortless ability to play the polite yet sneaky character. Lumpy Rutherford, played by Frank Bank, initially appeared sporadically but became a fan favorite, and Banks' own life after acting reflected the lessons he learned from his time on the show, including discipline, responsibility, and the value of humor in navigating life's challenges. Behind the camera, the cast faced additional lessons that went beyond acting. Barbara Billingsley, who played June Cleaver, often advocated for realistic portrayals of childhood misbehavior, ensuring that her character's frustration felt genuine rather than scripted. Her experience as a single mother allowed her to bring depth to the role, demonstrating how off-screen life informed on-screen performance. Hugh Beaumont, whose role as Ward Cleaver required moral authority and calm guidance, drew on his background as a minister to shape the character's advice-giving moments. Yet even he faced emotional challenges, particularly as the demands of the show required long hours and travel that sometimes clashed with family life. Production decisions often required creative problem-solving to maintain the illusion of the perfect family. For instance, Barbara Billingsley had to wear high heels throughout much of the show's run to ensure she appeared taller than the boys as they grew. While seemingly minor, this adjustment required endurance and subtle attention to posture, reflecting the small but important ways the production team maintained visual continuity. The show's writers and producers also made deliberate choices to highlight childhood experiences in ways that felt relatable yet educational.